Helen was 71 when she first noticed it. Not while climbing stairs, not while walking on ice, not while carrying groceries. It happened on a smooth grocery store floor. She suddenly found herself drifting slightly to the left. Nothing dramatic, nothing that caused a fall, but enough to make her wonder. Over the next few months, she started reaching for walls more often. She held onto countertops while putting on her shoes. Standing up too quickly felt strange. Sometimes it seemed like her body hesitated for a second before deciding where to go. Everyone around her had the same answer. It's just age. Her doctor suggested moving slowly. Her friends told her to be careful. And gradually, Helen started accepting that losing balance was simply part of getting older. But what if that explanation is wrong? What if your body is trying to warn you about something happening much deeper? I am Dr. Arthur Vance, and after years of working with older adults, I have learned something important. Problems with balance are not always caused by weak legs. They are not always caused by bad shoes. And they are certainly not something you should automatically blame on age, because many people who drift when they walk are actually experiencing changes in how their brain controls movement. And understanding that difference changes everything. As a son, I would never want my parents accepting loss of balance as normal aging without understanding what might be causing it, because catching these changes early can make a tremendous difference. Before we continue, tell me your age and where you're watching from. I always enjoy seeing our growing community and learning who these conversations are helping. Now, let's talk about something fascinating. Most people think walking is simple, but it is one of the most complicated things your body does. Every step you take is actually a controlled fall. That sounds strange, but it is true. You move forward, your body starts falling, and your other foot catches you. Then the process repeats itself, over and over, thousands of times every day. The reason you do not fall is because a part of your brain called the cerebellum constantly makes tiny corrections. Think of it as your body's automatic balance computer. It receives information from your eyes, your muscles, your joints, your inner ears, and every second it adjusts your movements without you even realizing it. When this system works well, walking feels effortless. You do not think about balance, you simply move. But when this system begins to struggle, your body sends warning signs, and unfortunately, many people miss them. Now this next part is important. The brain only weighs a small fraction of your body, yet it uses a huge amount of oxygen and energy. In fact, the brain is one of the most demanding organs in the entire body, and it is extremely sensitive to changes in blood flow. Even small reductions can affect how certain areas function. Not enough to cause a stroke, not enough to send you to the hospital, but enough to produce subtle symptoms. Symptoms that many people mistakenly blame on stress or aging. I see the same pattern repeatedly. People come in because of balance problems. But when I ask more questions, a bigger picture begins to appear. They tell me they forget why they walked into a room. They lose track of conversations. They struggle to remember names. They feel mentally exhausted every afternoon. They describe brain fog, not severe memory loss, just a feeling that their thinking is slower than it used to be. One patient described it perfectly. He said it felt like trying to watch television with slightly blurry glasses. Everything was there, but nothing felt quite as sharp, and that description stayed with me, because that is exactly how many people experience these changes. Not dramatic, not sudden, just a slow loss of clarity. Now look at this carefully. Most people immediately focus on their legs. They buy supplements, they do squats, they search online for balance exercises, they strengthen their calves. And none of those things are wrong. But if the brain is sending weaker signals, stronger legs alone cannot solve the problem. Think of your legs as the heart, because the next part may explain symptoms you never thought were connected. Many people with balance issues also notice afternoon fatigue. Around 2 or 3 in the afternoon, they suddenly feel drained. Their concentration disappears. Simple tasks become harder. Their mind feels tired. Not because they slept badly, not because they worked too hard, but because the brain is struggling to maintain energy. Others complain about brain fog. They know what they want to say, but the words take longer to come. They lose their train of thought. They walk into a room and forget why. And because these symptoms appear slowly, they often accept them as normal. But they are not always normal. Sometimes they are signs that the systems controlling balance and coordination are under stress. Now let me tell you about Robert. He was 64 and recently retired. He came to see me because he had started drifting slightly when walking. Nothing severe, but enough to worry him. He had already seen doctors. He had scans. Nothing serious was found. He was told to monitor things. But during our conversation, he mentioned something interesting. For over a year, he had struggled to remember names. He avoided driving at night because everything felt slightly harder. He became exhausted every afternoon, and he thought these were completely separate problems. They were not. They were pieces of the same puzzle. Once he understood what was happening, we focused on improving movement, posture, circulation, and coordination. Gradually, his confidence improved, his afternoon fatigue became less severe, and his wife noticed something before he did. She said he seemed sharper, not younger, not cured, just sharper, and that matters. Now let me explain something that surprises many people. Your brain is trainable. Even after 60, even after 70, even after 80, the brain constantly adapts. Doctors call this neuroplasticity. Think of it as strengthening pathways inside the brain. Just like muscles respond to exercise, the brain responds to challenges. And balance exercises can help strengthen those pathways. Simple things like standing on one foot while holding onto a chair, walking heel to toe slowly, practicing controlled turns, moving with intention. These exercises challenge the systems responsible for balance, and with repetition, those systems often become stronger. Not overnight, not in 1 week, but gradually. Consistency matters. This next part is perhaps the most important. Do not accept every change as normal aging. Growing older does not automatically mean giving up your confidence. It does not mean expecting falls. It does not mean losing your independence. Balance problems deserve attention, especially when they are new, especially when they are getting worse, especially when they come with memory problems, dizziness, brain fog, or unusual fatigue. Because your body is always communicating with you, and the earlier you listen, the more options you often have. Now I want you to remember something. The goal is not perfection. The goal is confidence. The goal is being able to walk safely. The goal is enjoying time with your grandchildren. The goal is maintaining your independence. The goal is staying active and doing the things you love. Those goals matter, and they are worth protecting. So if you have noticed yourself drifting when you walk, reaching for walls, or feeling less steady than you used to, do not simply blame age. Pay attention. Talk with your doctor, ask questions, because sometimes what feels like normal aging is actually your body asking for help, and understanding that difference could change the next 10 years of your life. I am Dr. Arthur Vance, and your health is the only metric that matters. I will see you in the next consultation.